Hi folks, thanks very much for tuning into Fat X, very thin on the ground podcast. Yeah, not a lot of videos getting posted over the last few weeks, and that's because Rangers, it's been absolutely hectic in the wide world of supporting Rangers. The Ted's playing plenty games twice a week, lots of news going on, and as most of you who have subscribed to this wee channel of mine will know, I do stuff for Gersnet, so I'm going to post links to posting links. It's not a mailman, it's got some sort of strange sausage fetish or whatever. I'm trying to talk like a real podcaster here, but I'll post the links below. I don't know, when you're watching this on YouTube, see below, I think there's a bit in there where I'm supposed to post a link, so I'll have to work out how to do that. I'll post links to the pieces I've been doing for Gersnet, kind of reporting on all the games we've played since the last time I spoke to you on here. And I think the last time I spoke to you on here was after the sad news that Ronnie McKinnon had passed away, and there on Wednesday, the day of the quarter-final of the League Cup against Livingston at Ibrox, we lose Jim Forrest, the striker, or one of the fantastic strikers, one of the best strikers ever to play in Scotland, and certainly one of the best strikers ever to play for Rangers. I just remember, it was a game, remember we beat Hearts 3-0, 86-87 season, we were winning the league for the first time in 9 years, and I'd been going to see Rangers. I'd been building it up and up as I was getting older throughout the 80s, and by the mid-80s I was going home and away every week and what have you, so suddenly I was there for the Soonest Revolution and what have you, and here we were going to win the league for the first time in almost a decade, the first time since I was like 9 years old. And I'm hitting 18 as well, so it was an exciting time in life in general. You're going to football with your mates every week, and the Teds are finally breaking their duck when it came to the league title. And I remember that might have been the week before we went to Pittodrie and actually sealed the title. We beat Hearts 3-0 at sun-kissed Ibrox, and did Super Ali get a hat-trick? But I just remember Jock Brown, watching it on STV, watching the highlights the next day. I was in the West Enclosure that day, and I just remember Jock Brown saying, that's the first... Ali's the first Rangers player to score more than, I don't know how many goals it was, in the league in a season since Jim Forrest, and it was that, at that age, you're like, all right, that's who the older guys and supporters of us were talking about, because Jim Forrest was a fella who infamously hounded out the club, simply because we lost that game to Berwick Rangers, the infamous defeat to Berwick Rangers in the Scottish Cup. He was hounded out the club 2.5 years before I was even born. But again, like the Ronnie McKinnon, as I was saying in my video about Ronnie McKinnon, he's one of these guys, it's part of the legend, and I was in the Stevenson Masonic RSC, and you know, my uncle, my auntie, and then my uncle's mates and that, up the back of the bus, they'd be telling you, you'd be sitting there like, especially in your kind of mid to late teens, you're like, what, hear all the tales for the older guys, and they're only that much older than me, you know, they're basically in their 20s, but they seemed like, you know, ancient guys to me, but they could remember all this stuff. They remember the stuff with Ronnie McKinnon and what happened to Berwick, and Jim Forrest, and George McLean, his equally potent strike partner, basically been told to pack their bags and away they go, simply because they'd lost one game, they'd failed to score in this one game. I mean, as I was saying in my Gersnet post-match reaction after the Livingston game, which I'll post in the links, nobody else in the park scored that night, and ultimately when we go to Bavaria later on that season and lose the Cup final after extra time by a single goal with a centre-half playing up front, it's like we really did, you know, cut off our nose to spite our face. And that could have had a massive effect on how we were perceived at the time, where Jock's team had arrived at Celtic and really started revolutionising them and the way players were, you know, trained, managed in Scottish football. And I think if we'd won the Cup Winners' Cup at the same time as Celtic had won the European Cup, it was the same season, you know, the same month, it would have been a case of us sharing, you know, us sharing in the glory, us sharing in that limelight. And it didn't happen because we didn't have a striker, you know, and we'd hunted one of the best strikers we'd ever had in our history, just out of sheer petulance. And as I say, I know we won, obviously, like 3 league titles and, you know, a couple of trebles, the Scottish Cup and the European Cup Winners' Cup. Eventually won that in 1972, but that's every 5 years after Jim Forrest left the club and was scoring all sorts of goals with tomorrow's visitors, Aberdeen. But I feel as if we didn't really achieve proper dominance. It was kind of small, intense periods of dominance. You know, Jock Wallace winning 2 trebles in the space of 3 seasons and stuff like that, and 3 league titles in the space of 4 seasons. But we didn't get that proper, sustained dominance back until the Soonest Revolution. And I think the kind of bookending of what we did at Berwick was, or how we reacted to that defeat at Berwick, was that the almost equally humiliating defeat to Hamilton Accies in January 1987, a game I was at. 20 years later at Ibrox, Adrian Sproat, we've lost him as well, the scorer that day. And I remember, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, you heard this on Gersnet, but I remember older guys in that game, again I'm like 17 coming on 18, I said Forrest and McLean get hunted after the defeat to Berwick. Robert Fleck and Alan McCoy should be getting hunted after failing to score today against this mob, and we didn't hunt them. And I think the following week they both scored in an absolute doing of Hearts at Tynecastle in the league. The first time Hearts had lost at home in the league for I think about 18 months or something like that. They're the team that nearly won the title for them the previous season, nearly won the double for them the previous season. It was a massive result. We absolutely scurried them, but it was at 5-3 I think they ended up. So it was a wee lesson there about not hunting managers or hunting players that aren't performing just because we're all angry, and we are all still angry at the way this season has started, and I think we're angry about the way things have gone for the past 10, 11 years really. So a lot of extra pressure is piled on Michael Beale, and I think we need to be careful to make sure we analyse this properly. Don't be pulling the trigger too early. And I think the past 4 games have just added confusion more than anything else to all the people who are we all, I think, as football fans, want life to be simple. We want to know where players are supposed to be playing, what position they're supposed to be playing in. We want to know who's the preferred player in that position. We want the same starting 11 every season. We want to know who the subs are, and we want them in order. And we want to you beat all the teams below us in the league really easily. The teams that are going to finish below us in the league, and you beat Celtic at least 2 out of the 4 times we'll play them, and maybe get a draw at Parkhead, and we'll win the league. And you do all that before you start getting to European finals and stuff. I think it's only natural that you see a kind of logical path that Rangers should be following, and it just makes you really angry when they don't. So I think a lot of us are like, right, Michael Beale's got to go because we get scuddied 5-1 in Eindhoven and then couldn't beat Celtic in the first league game of the season. And now we've got 4 straight games with clean sheets, and we're beating Motherwell 1-0 in the league at Ibrox on Sunday. The team are getting booed off, whereas the previous game on Thursday night we're beating Real Betis 1-0 in the Europa League, and we're heroes. I felt it was a massive result. It was that big win that Michael Beale was looking for. And I think since the last time I spoke to you in this little pod of mine, I think I spoke to you after the 2-0 win over St Johnstone at McDermott that got this little run going for Michael Beale. Not the massive win and stylish win that we were looking for, although we scored a couple of stylish goals that day. We have that, but when we played Betis in the Europa League, they've got a reputation. All La Liga teams will have. They've got a bit of heft about them, even though they've never played in a European final. One of the clubs, Real Betis, like a Spartak Moscow or Deportivo La Coruña back in the day, Lyon, Honved, these kind of teams, you just think have played in a European final. Turns out they haven't. Real Betis are like that, but still a massive club, famous manager, like Isco and all that. Really famous players and really decent players. What a bench they had that night. And we started kind of tentatively, poor for the first half hour, improved towards half time, just to stave off. You could see those people were getting ready to boo them down the tunnel again at half time. This is the first time we'd played at home since getting booed off in really horrible style after that 1-0 defeat to Celtic. And here we were facing the team wearing the original Celtic strip. That's where Real Betis get their kit from. And 0-0 at half time. And in the second half, it was just a steady increment in confidence and penetration. And it was like Tom Lawrence scrapes it outside of the post with a long range shot. Borna Barisic a bit closer in with a free kick, hits the bar square on, and then we have the corner a few minutes after that. Tav puts the ball over, and Sam Lammers is at the back post. He nods it back across. John Lundstram goes up there and nods it downwards to the other post, and there's Kamar Roof taking it on the volley, hitting it off Claudio Bravo's face. It rebounds out to Connor Goldson, who hits it off Kamar Roof's boobs, and then it lands just about 2 yards from goal, and Ben Davies kicks Abdallah Sima's foot onto it, and we get the only goal of the game. Saw it out reasonably comfortably, and it was a great feeling. Just lovely. Just when he needed it most, Michael Beale had his first big win, and then the following Sunday, we're playing Motherwell in the league, and they haven't lost away from home since February, but it's Motherwell in the league at Ibrox, and we get the goal early doors, and it's just already a strange enough formation because we've got Rabbi Matondo, who'd had so much joy this season playing on the left. We've got him playing on the right, and what else did we have? There's a few other dodgy ones. Scott Wright, he was playing supposedly wide left because I think it was the old 4-2-3-1 formation, and he's supposed to be out in the wide left, but he was kind of coming inside and supporting the sitting two of Jack and Lundstrom. It was really weird, and we got the goal. Matondo scores a goal, and then he does his knee in, off he goes, and we bring on John Suter, a centre half, and people are like, "What's going on here?" And it would get progressively worse as the game went on. Now, there's got to be tiredness from the game on the Thursday night against Betis. We played at a high tempo, and Motherwell really, set their stall out. They're comfortable in their shape that they've got going under Stuart Kettlewell, and they came at us. And this idea that we're playing three centre halves to let the wing backs push up the park just became five at the back for Rangers, and it was confusing us. And I still don't know why Motherwell didn't equalise and maybe not win the game. It really was bad. So the team get booed off the park after winning 1-0, and then we go out there on Wednesday night against Livingston in the League Cup, a match which you will know I was absolutely dreading. I had that earmarked as soon as the draw was made. There's something about it. I think the fact Livingston had never won at Ibrox in their history, I could imagine them still never having won at Ibrox in their history over 90 minutes. Just somehow the moment that draw was made, I think it was just after we beat them 4-0 in the league at Ibrox this season back in August, I thought, yeah, this is the game that's going to do for Michael Beale, if any game's going to do for him, because Celtic are out of the competition, and we have to win this. We really have to win this season's League Cup, and I can imagine Livingston, they're losing 1-0 and they equalise late on. It goes to penalties, and out we go, and out goes Michael Beale down Edmondson's Drive and back to Bromley. But no, and we were winning 1-0. We were winning 1-0 quite deep into the second half, and it was just at the point where Livy had a corner. I think just after the hour mark, they had a corner, and somebody got to it for them, and it flashed past the post. It was up the other end of the park from where I sit, and you're thinking that was. I think Jack Butland made a bit of a show of it, one for the cameras. He was just playing it safe. He was just being a professional, making sure it was going to go past the post. And just at the point, I'm starting to think, this could be bad. Yilmaz, our Turkish delight, Ridvan Yilmaz just takes the ball inside his own half, piles forward and smacks the ball from the edge of the box into the bottom left-hand corner of the Livy net. 2-0, game safe. Then we add another couple of goals, and it turned out it was so similar to the 4-0 win against Livy in the league back in August. Livingston, the only team we've been 3 goals up on, I think, all season. And both times we went on to be 4 goals up on them. I think we ended up the first goal, Seema scored in the 10th minute the other night, or the 11th minute, but it was the same time as we scored our opener against Livingston back in August, and the third goal, I think, was the 84th minute in both those games, and we added a fourth, I think it was 90 minutes in the game in August, and it was 92 minutes. Ryan Jack finished off a lovely move the other night to make it 4-0, so it was really, really similar to that game, and I think that's why a lot of us were like, well, that's what I was kind of checking myself. I'm thinking, I was bored tonight. I was bored for long periods. I was slightly worried, and then we scored through this League Cup game with Livingston. Maybe I was thinking about Storm Agnes. I don't know, but the crowd was a bad crowd as well. But 35,000 games live on the telly. People are kind of losing a bit of faith in Michael Beale. Christmas is coming up, whatever. So the money's getting spent. Times are tough for people, but the crowd wasn't very good at all. It was just a weird feeling, and I think the fact that he's only winning 4. He's only putting in a big scoreline against a team that he's already done it to. Almost took a bit of credit away from Michael Beale. But there you are. That's him in 3 successive games at Ibrox in 3 different competitions. And I was earmarking Ibrox. This run of 4 successive games at Ibrox has been really dangerous for Michael Beale. Because if you lost any of them or slipped up in any of them, maybe not so much the Betis game. I think he was getting a kind of free hit there. But certainly that League Cup game. And as we saw, they get booed off despite beating Motherwell in that league game. I thought this could see him walking. This could see him getting the old sack. Hasn't happened so far, so he's going to have his 4th straight game. Since we've come back from that international break, it's been 4 straight wins across 3 competitions, clean sheets all the way. And Michael Beale at today's pre-Aberdeen press conference was giving Ben Davies a big share of the credit for that, but I think he was also crediting himself for not selling Ben Davies, even though he said there wasn't any significant offers coming in for him. It's weird. I'm not trusting Michael Beale in press conferences, and I don't really care about that. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just because if we're winning, I don't care if Michael Beale's telling porkies as long as it's helping Rangers win. But yeah, we're at that situation now where tomorrow it's still, if we slip up at all against Aberdeen tomorrow, it's right back into serious doubts about Michael Beale. He's not out the woods in a major way, but you can't ignore the fact you have to give him credit for what he's done since coming back from that international break after the horrible defeat to Celtic and that doing in Eindhoven. It's getting better. It's slowly, almost imperceptibly picking up, and when he was him and Neil Banfield in the pre-Livingston press conference talking about the clean sheets, it's not the time for that. It's not the time to be talking about clean sheets when we're only beating Motherwell 1-0 and we're winning 2-0 away at St Johnstone, who are bottom of the table and stuff like that. It's not the time to be bumming ourselves up about that. You sound like you're just trying to save your job, but then it's a 4th clean sheet. So we'll see what happens tomorrow with Aberdeen. I'm going to come back and do a wee quick video about the press conference that we had today with the manager, and then Sam Lammers looking ahead to that horrible fixture tomorrow. I hate playing Aberdeen. I just don't like them at all. I don't like having them in our stadium. But it's what's got to be done, and we've got Cyprus on Thursday and then Paisley the following weekend, and that'll be us into the next international break. And if Michael Beale can put together another 3 wins to add to the football, we're looking at 7 straight wins, very doable, and really he should be. To not win the next 3 games, any of those 3 games, to not win them would be a failure, and it'd be right back into serious doubts territory. So we'll see how it goes tomorrow, folks, and hopefully I'll have another video out to you before kick-off against Aberdeen. Thanks for your time. Cheers.